Oregon and Michigan are playing this weekend. Does this have any juice for non-Duck fan?
Nah.
No.
Michigan's terrible.
Michigan's that bad that it just doesn't even matter anymore. Yeah.
I remember
Because going into the year, this was one of the ones you circled. You're like, hey, Oregon,
Big house,
defending national
champion.
They played twice, kind of famous games, at least in the Northwest for us when
Didn't
Oregon
the
beat them.
Ducks house them the last time they went out there?
In 2007, Oregon killed them by 30 the week after they lost to Appalachian State.
The Statue of Liberty play.
I will never forget 6th grade dirt at the time rooting against Oregon when they came for the Lightning Strikes game.
Really?
Yeah, I grew up a Michigan fan because every kid's a front runner, and that's kind of how life works, and then you eventually grow out of it. And I was such a big Charles Woodson fan. I didn't have any connections to Oregon at the time. I didn't have any family that went there. We'd go to games every now and then, so I'd root for them in other games. But as a kid, I grew up a Michigan fan, and I'll never forget talking trash. I think it was 6th grade when they played. What was that, 2002, 2003?
Sounds about right.
When they beat them in the Lightning Strikes game. I was talking crap that they were going to lose.
That's a funny admission by you because I'll give you another one, and it's funny thinking about this show saying these things out loud. You rooting against Oregon when Michigan came. I remember watching the Oregon at Michigan game.
2007, I'll never forget it.
I wasn't at Oregon State yet, and I was laughing at Michigan.
Were you rooting for the Ducks?
I was.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was hilarious. Oregon was doing the coolest trick plays ever.
That was one of the coolest games ever.
That fake Statue of Liberty, Dennis Dixon keeper, is still one of the smoothest looking plays I've ever seen in a real game.
Yeah, they torched them.
And so it's funny you say you're rooting for Michigan when they came to Autzen. I was rooting for the Ducks when they went to Michigan.
Yeah, it is kind of a bummer. It goes back to kind of what we're talking about in all this conference stuff of that it doesn't seem like there's a lot of elite teams this year. Michigan is one of them. Like they came in top 10 team in the preseason. A lot of defending national champs. Maybe all of that was overblown. They've been a bit of a disaster. Now, they did win last weekend against your boy Jonathan Smith. They won that game. There's a big fight afterwards.
They are ready to fire him.
At Michigan State? Oh, they're not handling that well at all.
The message boards are off the chain. They've got one person who's got a pretty good following putting out a Game of Thrones video where they're talking about how they thought he was the guy and a guy whispering, sometimes it's the hard decisions we need to make, and just kept putting Urban Meyer in the clip.
I mean, their thought is
they're insane.
You can't beat if you can't beat Michigan this year, do you think Michigan's going to get worse next year?
They are so unreasonably insane. I cannot stress that.
I mean, they've been to a playoff in the last 10 years. To be fair to them, they went to a college football playoff. I think the standard is high at Michigan State.
I think real quick before you get to landing cuts, I think the optimistic view, even though Duck fan isn't going to go there and they're going to get ready for heartbreak because I think you're just kind of inclined to do it. I would say that's the argument for why Swag might be right and why I said yesterday I think they're on a tier. I just look at college football, and it's not that Oregon can't lose, see college football history. I look at all of the teams not named Oregon, Georgia right now, and I don't feel particularly great about them. Clemson has played nobody since the Georgia game, but, they're so great. Miami, they have no defense. Texas, they finally played a real team and they got their asses handed to them.
Yeah.
Tennessee, I don't buy it. Bama, I don't buy it. I just look at the surrounding teams and I go, Oregon since week 2 has figured their problems out, and even though they beat Ohio State by a slim margin, Ohio State I feel like has only gotten worse. So that's kind of the optimistic view I would look at if I was rooting for the Ducks, and why I think they're kind of standing alone with Georgia.
Well, here's Sharon Moore, the head coach at Michigan. He was asked about all the weapons and all the things that Oregon's bringing to the table this weekend. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I mean, start with the quarterback, a guy that's played multiple games, multiple places, but he's elite in every way. Reading coverages, making plays, making throws down the field, controlling the offense with his feet. So you got to do things to confuse him and make him uncomfortable. The O-line is really, really good, one of the best in the country. And personnel-wise, from left to right, they're all really good. The skill guys are fast, twitchy. Evan Stewart, really, really good. He stands out. So do the other guys. And then the running back, he's violent runner. He's a smaller guy, but he's a violent runner, runs physical. And then defensively, they just play really good team defense. They've got good players, but they play great team defense. Coach Lanning has done a great job with the scheme, and their DC has done a great job. So it's going to be a challenge. We got to go prepare to go win.
So it's interesting, too, on top of this, a double whammy for them. I listened to this entire press conference yesterday. About 90% of it was about will there be any punishment for the post-game fight against Michigan State once the fallout there.
Not this week.
Not this week. That's happened multiple times against Michigan State. Remember the tunnel incident a couple years ago where I think lawsuits eventually were filed?
Yeah,
like,
I remember that.
It's been a problem for them now for a while. So that was the big bulk of it. The other double whammy for them is one of the guys you would argue was one of their best players is Will Johnson. Did not play last weekend. They're all-world corner. And he's not. They don't know yet.
They don't know
week.
yet.
He's a question mark, and we'll see if he ends up being able to go. That would be a brutal blow for them.
I think on the Michigan side, if you want to be fair and honest about this game, I don't see them having the horses to do it with this year's Michigan team. If Oregon is going to flirt with losing and being upset, it's going to be the start. It's going to be Michigan rocking, kickoff, defense comes out there.
Should be a good atmosphere. They'll pack that place in.
Oregon can't run the ball, 3 and out. It looked ugly. Michigan with some momentum. I think if you're going to do it, it has to happen at the beginning. If Oregon comes out and has a 9-play drive, marches down the field and gets a touchdown, I think Michigan fan collectively is going to go, oh, yeah, okay. That's what this day is going to be.
Here we go again. We saw this against Texas. Here we go again. The other part of that note, too, is that Michigan's not a team. If you get up 2 scores on them, they can't throw their way back into a game. They don't have the ability to do it.
No.
But if it's close and they can run the ball and kind of stay in their offense, they can lean on you a little bit.